what part of the word no does the Prime Minister not understand? Now, last year, 60% of Australians voted no to his plan to divide us by race and create a kind of Aboriginal-only advisory parliament in a constitution. But now, despite that amazing setback, Albanese seems determined to make one of the people behind that racist plan our new Governor-General. Someone who tried to divide us is now appointed to something that's supposed to unite us. Now, both his apparent, and it's only rumours, right? He's not confirming it. Both apparent candidates identify as Aboriginal. Of course, he wants to make history. One is Indigenous Australians Minister Linda Burney, who was clearly incompetent and not across the detail of the voice he was trying to sell us, and Tom Calma, who co-designed the voice and made it totally incomprehensible and impossible to sell. Here is the Prime Minister today, once again refusing to give a straight answer.
I'm consulting with the King as is appropriate, and it's important that that proper process be undertaken.
Is it a possibility you could appoint a Tom Calma or a Linda Burney?
I'm not going to go through options, because then you get into will it be a man, will it be a woman?
Joining me is the panel, Liberal MP Garth Hamilton, and Stephen Chavura, Senior Lecturer in History at Campion College and author of a very good book on politics. The Prime Minister clearly wants to appoint Stephen the first Aboriginal Governor-General. Is this tokenism a good idea when these are the apparent candidates?
Well, I would love to see an Indigenous Australian as Governor-General, but no one who agrees with the Uluru Statement from the heart in full should be allowed anywhere near the office of the Governor-General. And both Linda Burney and Tom Calma are enthusiastic supporters of it. But that statement calls for two Australias. That statement says it needs to establish a Makarrata Commission or a treaty. Now, the Governor-General is there to bring about unity in Australia, and any Governor-General who signs up or enthusiastically agrees with the Uluru Statement of the Heart believes that Australia as it is a colonial project, and we need to create two sovereignties, as the Uluru Statement website said. So neither of those candidates nor anyone who agrees with the Uluru Statement from the Heart should be allowed near the office of Governor-General.
Now, Garth, what do you make of this? Because I think straight off the bat to say, listen, I want to make it the first Aboriginal Governor-General. No, just make it the best person in the country, regardless of race. I think we are just sick of race being used as a qualification.
Absolutely. Look, I grew up in Ipswich with Sir Neville Bonner, Senator. The first Aboriginal Australian to become a parliamentarian, and he did it off his own bat. No one chose him because of the colour of his skin. I'm very proud to be part of a party that chose him repeatedly to be on the Senate ticket. He was chosen on competence, and that's not what is being offered. I think it's terribly demeaning to our Aboriginal brothers and sisters to say that you could become, you could be chosen for the highest honour in the land, but only if we restrict the selection criteria down to your skin colour. I think that's terribly sad. And look, if we are going to be, if this is truly about competence, and it must be an Aboriginal Australian, why isn't Warren Mundine's name been thrown forward? There's someone who actually does have some bipartisan skin in the game. He's been with Labor, he's been with the Liberal Party, and during the Voice referendum, he really picked the tone of Australia. He was able to speak to households right across Australia in a way that Calma certainly couldn't, and Linda Burney simply is incapable of doing.
Now, I should underline, we don't know who the candidates are. It's not saying, I'm just saying there's been a number of stories swirling around these kinds of names, and I think if he goes down that way, it will backfire on him big time. Meanwhile, Stephen, the media, the ABC, the New South Wales Premier, the New South Wales Police have all piled onto this bunch of dumb neo-Nazis, stupid, racist, half of them blow-ins from Victoria, some of them wearing ludicrously too tight T-shirts. Really, Australia's not going to fall to morons like this. And it's all, but, good, fine, clamp down on them, stop them protesting and all that kind of thing. I don't want racists in the streets. But can you explain to me why nothing, though, these seem like easy targets, why nothing is being done about the protesters calling for Australia to be abolished, protesters who police think will apparently riot at even the sight of an Aboriginal flag? Or where's the action against several Islamic hate preachers I've shown here over the last, month or two, like this guy?
من هؤلاء الوحوش الذين نزعت الرحمة من قلوبهم أهم صفة من صفات اليهود هي أنهم شعب متعطش لسفك الدماء.
Please say, oh no, we're not going to crack down on this guy. No law's really been broken. But Stephen, when this happens, I wonder whether the public is going to think the policing on Australia Day is very selective.
Yeah, I would wonder too, and I wouldn't blame them if they thought that it was. And I don't want to blame the police for any, individual police officers necessarily for if there is any selective policing, because one thing that police officers and the police force is actually very scared of is the weaponisation of accusations of racism. And just the worst thing for police PR is when professional race baiters start accusing the police who might be investigating things like Islamic terror or ethnic crime to accuse them of just being racists. And so I think one of the things that could feed into any potential selective policing is this problem of weaponising accusations of racism. I mean, a few years ago, a report came out and the police said that they had hundreds and hundreds of instances of the ISIS flag being flown in New South Wales. We clearly have a problem with hatred in Australia. I doubt very much that it's fueled by small groups of silly, ridiculous, idiotic neo-Nazis.
Yeah, and the example I'd probably give. But no one likes neo-Nazis. But Garth, I mean, I had here at the top of the show 2 people threatened, or one in particular, threatened with arrest for wearing a hat with 2 Australian flags on it. I mean, on Australia Day. I mean, can you believe this?
It's extraordinary, and as you say, of course, neo-Nazis deserve what they have coming to them. But the bizarre part is, I don't think it's policing. I think the issue is media coverage. There's a weird link between the far left and some of these pro-Hamas or anti-Semitic views that are being expressed at the moment, and they're being ignored in the media. We've seen this coverage of the hard right. No one wants to talk about what's happening on the hard left. For us to be in Australia and for the idea that the word Zionist now has negative connotations. No, we do support Israel. We have always supported Israel, and God willing, will continue to do so. Why on earth this should become an issue
on that
the hard
point,
left have taken up?
On that point, and you as a Queenslander, I've been alerted to something by the Australian Jewish Association. A Jewish ratepayer wrote to their local councillor for the Gabba, in Brisbane, who's a Green. And this resident was complaining that painting a giant Palestinian flag on the road, next to an Aboriginal one, I should say, a giant Palestinian flag on the road made her feel unsafe as a Jew. The councillor's advisor, who goes by the pronouns he, she, they, them, and whatever, wrote back telling her to read a long list of anti-Israeli propaganda he'd linked to, and said, we take leadership from Jewish voices who call out Zionism itself as anti-Semitic, telling a Jew that wanting a homeland that is safe for Jews is racist and anti-Semitic and she should wise up. I mean, what the hell's going on?
It is extraordinary. And look, I don't want to be like Greg Sheridan and quote my own columns, but I did write earlier this week, councils aren't elected. Councils simply aren't elected to deal with issues of home affairs, citizenship, these sort of things. They're there to deal with roads, rates and rubbish. The problem these councils get in, they don't have a mandate to talk on these issues. And for years, here's the honest truth, for years we've thought that there's been no consequence for voting for Greens on councils right across Australia. We've thought that's a fine little place for them with, they can go and they love trees and they're very happy people. No, there is a consequence, and these extreme views are creeping in, and unfortunately now they have majorities on some of these councils, and they're creeping through into the state, into the federal parliament, and these views are harmful. They're not Australian views. They don't align with Australians.
Yeah, the councils are beachheads, gives them access to money, to power, to a platform, and they use it in ways you don't expect. You can say, you know, rates and rubbish, but they've got power. They're going to play politics. Stephen, there's a really nasty anti-Israel feeling out there, but it's not just at the show, it goes right to the very top. And to me, some of it looks dangerously like Jew hatred. For Saturday, here's an astonishing example. Saturday was International Holocaust Remembrance Day, to remember how Nazi Germany slaughtered 6 million Jews in a bid to wipe them out. Yet the UN Secretary General, the left-wing Antonio Guterres, posted a tweet and a video about that Holocaust Remembrance Day that did not mention Jews even once. Here he is.
To all who confront prejudice and persecution, let us clearly say, you are not alone. The United Nations stands with you.
And it's not alone. I've got other examples like Scotland's First Minister, a Muslim with a Palestinian wife, now the First Minister of Scotland, didn't mention Jews once in his Holocaust Remembrance Day either, and turned it almost into an attack on Israel with hint, 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 here he is.
So today, I light a candle in solidarity with every person affected by the Holocaust. And today, we pay tribute to the survivors of those atrocities. We must unite against hatred wherever we see it, no matter the perpetrator or the victim.
Stephen Chavura, making International Holocaust Remembrance Day Jew-free, Judenrein, seems to me the ultimate insult. I mean, I'm stunned.
Yeah, and as you say, it goes right to the top. I mean, in 2022, the UN General Assembly passed more resolutions against Israel than it did against all other nations combined. And that includes nations like China, Saudi Arabia, Iran, North Korea. There is a pervasive anti-Israel bias in the UN. And you have it also in universities all around the world, certainly in Australia, where you have Middle East Studies Department, you have Islamic Studies Department, you have student unions who are very, very anti-Israel, very, very pro-Palestine. And of course, the people who go in and take these courses wind up going on to councils, wind up going into the media. And we're sort of reaping it all now after this terrible tragedy. I mean, you would think, Andrew, you would think that it was Israel who went into Gaza and committed all those atrocities. You know, the way people talk about Israel. It's unbelievable.
Yep. No, it's just been blotted from their mind. What Hamas attack? No, don't remember it. I don't know. Garth Hamilton, Stephen Chavura, thank you very much to you both.